promotes, and I hope will always believe and promote that disciples of Jesus have the power of Jesus to be more like Jesus. And we do that better when we're together. We do that better when we do that together, guys. And I just want to let you know, I'm just a regular guy. I went down to MTSU and got a business degree back in the day. That feels like a million years ago. Can you relate? Woo, that feels like a long time ago. I went down there, got a degree, found Jesus at an earlier age, hit my knees and prayed, and man, I just took off. I was like, God, here I am, send me. Just a regular dude that's in love with Jesus up here, hoping that preaching Jesus is glorifying our Lord. So I want you to know that you do not have to be on this stage to be passionate about your faith. You don't have to be. This is where I chose to be. You don't have to be passionate about being on a stage or being on the side of the stage, middle of the stage, other side of the stage. You can be passionate about your faith with who you are in Jesus Christ. You can grow in your faith. You can be excited about your faith. You can discover more about your faith, and you can have your faith on display. And I'm going to repeat this to you often in our church. I'm committed. Our volunteers are committed. Our management team is committed to finding ways to empower you to unlock your potential in the body of Christ. Does that feel okay to you? That's what we're committed to here, man. Because we're not just going after butts in seats. We're not just going to be the frozen chosen. I stole that from a different guy. I didn't make that up myself. We want every person that comes to draw near to be equipped in the faith, to be trained to make disciples of Jesus. So I wanted to show you this real quick. This is the vision of Draw Near. Just repeated from the stage over and over so we know what we're doing. We're making disciples of Jesus through real relationships. One person at a time. And this is our process, guys. We're calling it 4 B's. This is the core values of Draw Near. We want everybody, and we're asking everybody to participate that comes here in believing in Jesus, committing their life to Him, pledging their allegiance through baptism, belonging to the family. This is where, man, unless we're out of town or there's an emergency, we are going to be worshiping God weekly together here. Becoming His disciple. You hear me talk about it way too much, I'm sure, but I'm going to keep talking about it. The home groups, man. This is where we grow and train together and do life together and do discovery Bible studies together and then build His kingdom. We look for somebody to bring with us on this journey, and we give financially so that this plan right here can spread here, near, and far. Man, I was dreaming the other day. Can you imagine this being all over Franklin County, this plan, and then all over the state, and then all over the United States, and then one day we'll take it overseas. Who wants to go on a mission trip? We'll go. Yes. This is what I'm talking about, guys. We've got an ember. We've got a spark. And we're just praying, God, just ignite it. Just ignite it. That's what we're doing here. So I wanted you to hear that over and over again, which leads me to the title of our sermon, which is, you have a story to tell. You have a story to tell in this faith. And there are 2 huge reasons why you should be able to tell your story in this faith. And the first one is what you tell yourself every day will either lift you up or tear you down. How many of you know that you are what you eat? You heard that one before? You are what you eat. You know what I've been eating, okay? A little Halloween candy. You are what you eat. So you need to know your story in the faith so you can feed yourself spiritually and not have to wait on Sunday for it. You with me on this? This is not theory. This is actually science. What you're telling yourself every day is how you're programming yourself for life. What you're telling yourself every day is programming how you respond to life. And the enemy would like nothing more than for you to program yourself to think, I'm not enough. The enemy would like nothing more for you to program yourself to think it's impossible and I should quit. What you are repeating to yourself becomes your reality. So you need to know your story in this faith so that you will program yourself to be strong through your circumstances and random thoughts. That's why you need to know your story. And I'll tell you this, guys, and I believe this with all my heart. Your story in this faith is the greatest story of your life. It's the greatest story you will ever tell yourself. It's the greatest story you will ever have, and there will never be another one like it. It's the story you should know inside and out. And the second big reason why is one day you will tell your story of how you overcame what you went through. And I'm going to add something right there, because of Jesus, and it will be someone else's survival guide. You need to know your story because of the guy sitting next to you. You need to know your story because it can help you, your family, this church. It can help me when I listen to it in our home groups. It can help our community to discover the thing that matters most in this life, and his name is Jesus Christ. That's why you need to know your story. You can clap in this church. I'll receive it. I'll get energy from it. It's okay. Yes. I'm one of those guys, man. You clap and I'm just going to get louder. So just whatever. Your story can literally become the survival guide to the person sitting next to you. Man, that matters. Man, that matters. And so what Paul's going to do right now, and this is why this might be the greatest series we've ever ran, is he's going to help you develop your story. He's going to show you the three things that should be in your story. And if you're a turn into your Bible kind of person, I wanted to just put this up here. We're going to be going through Ephesians 2, 1 through 10 today. You can turn over there. You can flip to it on your phone. I use an app. And to start the illustration of our story, I want to tell you a little bit about me. Okay? I want to tell you a little bit about me. I chose to start disobeying God at a very, very young age. It was before high school, but let me take you up to high school. In high school, I touched a lot of stuff that God says, do not touch. I got hooked on some things that God says, don't even be around. And when I went to college, the less accountability I had, the worse that got. I'm telling you a little bit about my story. Now, I went to church on Sundays, but guys, if you looked at my sexual purity, if you looked at my pride level, if you looked at my speech and my schemes, it would seem like I was mainly pursuing my own selfish desires above all else, Monday through Saturday. When God said, be humble, there were seasons in my life where pride defined me. And I intentionally thought of myself as better than most people because you know what? It felt really good. When God said, be honest, there were seasons where I chose to cheat my way through some things just to get ahead in life faster. When God said, deal with life in patience and in love, I had seasons where I had unholy anger, and those words spilled out of me, and those words hurt the people around me. And if you look back at my life, I'm not trying to throw a pity party by any means, and I'm not saying every moment was bad, but I will say that when God said to me, you are either for me and you obey me, or you disobey me and you join the enemies against me, I chose to disobey him. I chose to be his enemy. That is how Paul starts our story. That is how Paul starts the story of the Ephesians and starts our story right here today. Once you were dead because of your disobedience and your many sins. You used to live in sin just like the rest of the world, obeying the devil, the commander of the powers in the unseen world. He's the spirit at work in the hearts of those who refuse to obey God. All of us used to live that way, following the passionate desires and inclinations of our sinful nature. By our very nature, we were subject to God's anger just like everyone else. In every epic story, book, movie, fantasy, thriller, comedy, there are three parts. There's a massive problem, there is a massive hero, and there is a massive result. And we are no exception. That's the three parts to our story. A massive problem, a massive hero, and a massive result. So the start of our story that Paul is going to help us develop right now is that we've got a problem. Or we had a problem. And you need to know this, church. You need to know that the second Adam and Eve disobeyed God in the garden, they obeyed the enemy's suggestion to declare war on God, to no longer trust his protection, and to no longer submit to his commands. They declared that they wanted to run their life separate from his instructions. That's the exact same problem that the people in the churches of Ephesus had, and that's the exact same problem that you and I have, and I want to prove it to you. James 2:10 says, whoever keeps the whole law and yet fails in one point has become guilty of it all. That means that if you have broken one of God's commands, you have broken them all. You are guilty of the whole law. If you've just taken one bite, Adam and Eve, outside of his instructions, you're guilty of joining forces with the enemy against God. And let me tell you who has done this. Everyone. Everyone has sinned, and we all fall short of God's glorious standard. Guys, I am really not trying to throw guilt bombs out, but here's the purpose of this. We've got to know the problem with our story to get it off the ground. We need to know that we had a problem, and it's one of the easiest things to do to skip this in our faith. And I believe Paul's saying this to us right now. He's saying, don't skip it. Don't skip the problem that you've created for yourself. And I want to actually illustrate this. And I want to show you why Paul is so passionate about being like, you were dead, man. You were absolutely destroyed and you chose that. Let me show you this. Now look, we're going to have to do this together if we're going to get through it, okay? Don't freak out. We're going to turn all of the lights off and ask you a question. So don't trip over each other. Don't run to the bathroom. Let's just see how this works, okay? We're going to do all of the lights right now. Let's see if this will go to the next one. There we go. Okay, let's get the bathroom lights off. Everybody just hang out for a minute. I feel like we're one of those aquarium museums where the theater's about to get going. All right, let's get those lights off. Gary, you got them? They're in the hallway. There we go. Okay, here's the question I want to ask. Where do you see light? You can shout it out. I'll give you an example. There's light coming off of the TV screens. Where else do you see light in the room? The doors. Where else? Behind the curtain. Awesome. The windows. I think we're about covered it. Here's the point. You couldn't see where the light was coming from in all the places that you just mentioned without first seeing the darkness. All right, let's get the lights back on because I got to get back on the stage somehow. Guys, you cannot see the light of Jesus until you first see the darkness that you came from. You got me, Gary? Here we go. Thank you, my man. Woo, there we go. We're back. Did that illustration help at all? You couldn't see the light under that door. You couldn't see the light coming from those windows. You couldn't see the light behind the curtain until we first looked at the darkness, until we first looked at the problem. I love how I found a quote online. It was from this person named Bernie Brown. Only when we're brave enough to explore the darkness will we discover the infinite light and power that we have in Jesus. The more you understand your darkness, the more that Jesus will mean to you in this faith. And when you avoid the problem, your story suffers. And it damages the thing that you need to be telling yourself every day. And it damages the survival guide that you are writing for the person next to you. I want you to take mine for example. I didn't get hooked on drugs. Guys, I didn't even try drugs, not even marijuana. And a lot of my friends did. On any of that. I went to college. I graduated in 4 years. And yeah, I sinned like everybody else, but that's why I found Jesus, and I'm just kind of part of this cool system. I had a cop pull me over because I bleached my hair when it was luscious one time, and he did me one of these things. He thought, but I wasn't drinking, so guess what? I didn't go to jail. I really wasn't that bad of a kid. Paul says, don't do that. Don't do that. The problem with your story is once you were dead because of your disobedience and your many sins. You used to live in sin just like the rest of the world. And the problem with disobedience to God, church, is it's a choice. And when we choose even one sin, it's not a small thing. It was as monumental as Adam and Eve being thrown out of the garden. That put it in perspective for me. I'm like, oh, that hit me hard when I figured that one out. We chose to join the rebellion against God saving humanity. And if we really tried to fully understand the rest of our problem, have you guys ever seen that movie, Meet Joe Black? Mr. Parrish meets death, and he's played by Brad Pitt. And Brad Pitt as death, like, what's love? Okay, if you got it all the way up, let's see what happens here. I'm going to show you the clip. After Mr. Parrish tells him what love is, here's what he says.
That's what love is, according to William Parrish.
Multiply it by infinity and take it to the depth of forever, and you will still have barely a glimpse of what I'm talking about.
He said, multiply it times infinity, take it to the depths of forever, and you still won't know what I'm talking about. Guys, that's what it would look like for us to understand how big of a problem we had in our story. Multiply it times infinity, take it to the depths of forever, and we'll still only catch a glimpse of the problem that we created for ourselves. We participated, we supported, and we put our stamp of approval on hurting God's plan to save his creation from killing itself. And Paul says, let me tell you how big of a problem you had. You used to live in sin just like the rest of the world. I'm not sure if I had that. Here we go. There it is. Obeying the devil. By our very nature, we were subject to God's anger just like everyone else. I wanted to show you one more illustration on this, and there's a reason that I'm lingering on the first part of our story. This is what it looked like when we disobeyed God. This is poison. This is what it looked like. One disobedient thing to God after another, after another, after another. And when we decide